What's up? What's up? How's it going? This is a stream about Wized. It's about team changes. It's a big one. We have a lot of big changes here. And if you have any interest in Wiz, any interest in the Finsweet product line, this is going to be a big stream. So we'll be talking a lot about um, very transparently what's happening at Finsweet. First, let's celebrate about over 100 people waiting here.
That's effing sweet.
Thank you, Gabe. I love that. And it was so cool seeing over 100 people waiting here, and this number is only going to continue rising. So we thank all of the supporters here. Let's say hello to some people. We have the first comment, Margine. I do not know how to say that. We have Mo, we have Erebus, Victoria, Carlos, Riley, what's up? We have Ferdy, Robert, Johnny, Tori, Magdalena, Scott Humphrey, Jeremy. What's up? What's up? Wow, a lot of people. Love all the Wiz supporters. I see a lot of people that are big on Wiz. So great. Welcome. Let's get into this. I'm going to now switch to a screen share presentation and let's get right into this. Let's talk about these Wiz team changes. So the outline of today's stream, what we will be doing is first share the news. We're not going to keep you waiting the whole entire stream. We'll share that news. Then we'll reflect on what Wiz has released. Then we're going to show the new Wiz upgrades. Very cool. Then we're going to do some audience QA. And then at the end, we will share an access code. This will be an access code for anybody that is watching that does not have access to V2 and wants that access. You will get a code at the end of the stream. Okay, so let's get into this news. The next slide has the news. I'm just making sure we're all ready here. Okay, Jonas is leaving Wized. Alex is leading Wized. One is leaving, one is leading. And this is a big change for us. It really is. And this stream, it's an effort to maintain our promise of transparency. We talk a lot about transparency. We talk a lot about sharing things and not holding them back, not keeping them internal. So this stream is to be transparent. We want to tell you exactly what's going on and how it's going to work for everybody. It's going to be a big benefit. We're big positive thinkers. We're big benefit people here at Finsweet, and we are going to use this to everybody's benefit. Including Alex, including Jonas, including all of you. So let's now go to the next slide here. Let's review Wiz from launch until day one. Before we bring Jonas on, before we bring Alex on, let's just look at everything that Wiz was and is. Jonas started building Wiz in April 2020. That puts us right at the 3-year mark. And it was called Platform Wizards. And its goal was to replace front-end frameworks like React or Vue, specifically to use things like React or Vue with Webflow, but not using React or Vue, using Platform Wizards. And 3 years, Jonas built a very impressive product, some of it by himself, some of it with a team, but regardless, incredibly impressive. So let's look at a couple of big points here. 2020, Jonas solo building, nobody else. It's him in his room, locked up, building Platform Wizards. And that's when the idea was born. Designed and built Platform Wizards with Airtable as the only integration. Recorded the first tutorials, started marketing the product to the Webflow community, and then started that April. And then in December, launched. So Platform Wizards was launched and working on it from April to December. 2021, user feedback sessions, which led to ideas. Jonas was a one-man product here. So he was doing support, he was doing marketing, he was doing feedback, everything. And this led to a complete product iteration. Redesigned and redeveloped the entire application from scratch to now support REST APIs and Stripe. So going from something that was just for Airtable, putting into Webflow, it's now REST API, which is really anything. So this was a big, big update. Also, a big rebranding from Platform Wizards to Wized, which, as we all know, is the current name. So, Platform Wizards, I think some user feedback, I think some different ideas of what this app really is, and that led to Wized. Also, Jonas worked on a new website, Product Hunt, actively doing support. He was managing everything at this point. And then, sometime in 2021, I want to say September, Finsweet acquired Wized. And now Jonas went from solo to team. And it's a big, important piece here because Jonas built a team inside Finsweet dedicated to Wized. There was a whole team working with him now. We filled key roles in development, education, customer support, design, and marketing. And Jonas, the product leader, set out to build a final, fully scalable version of Wized that would act as the base platform for all future improvements. This is what we now know as Wiz V2. And instead of doing these rebuilds where we add something else and add something else, Jonas had the idea for the fully scalable version. And that is what we built as a team. So part of that rebuild, we added native support for Zapier, Firebase, Supabase, and Sano. We built out a customer support operations that is seen as very effective. We love our customer support efforts. The community, Wiz users love our customer support. So big thanks to Elvis, to Brian, to Emmanuel, Rohan, Jonas, everybody that's in Wiz. Thank you, because we all work together to support the users. We have education through Intelligence Center, Clonables, and YouTube. And then towards the end of 2022, we had our V2 launch to select users. So all of these big things happened, right? This is all within a year and a half of time. And now 2022, we also launched the peer invite system, improved rendering performance of the embed. We released the Wized debugger and the Wized X-ray mode. 2023, that's the past 5 months here, 4 months. We integrated with Finsweet attributes. We have a new Wiz dashboard, a new data field code editor. It is impressive, but hold on. We have a new version control system, which is managed inside Configurator. And my favorite, a self-sufficient Wiz team. So through Jonas's leadership, he has not only successfully done all of these things, but also helped create a team that is self-sufficient, running and managing Wiz. Really, really cool to see. So as you can see in some of those items we haven't seen yet, we will talk about this later, but it's part of the 2023 because Jonas was a key part of building these. Wow, impressive. I agree. Very impressive. It's amazing to see somebody build this on their own and then also work in the team environment to rebuild it and continue growing it. So a big, big round of applause to Jonas. Now let's bring Jonas on screen to talk to all of you. Jonas, what's up? How you doing?
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Awesome. So now I'm going to get off of the screen and Jonas is going to speak to all of you, right? We talked about all the great things. Now Jonas will talk to you about the leaving, about what Wized is means to him, and let's give it to Jonas. Thanks.
Okay, let me give you some background information on today's announcements. So the main reason for the acquisition of Wized by Finsweet back in the day was that we wanted Wized to grow from a solo builder project into a project backed by a whole team. A product which users can trust in terms of reliability and future upgrades. And over the last 1.5 years since this acquisition, we have done exactly that. We have initially assembled the dedicated Wiz team inside Finsweet, consisting of developers, designers, marketeers, and customer support staff. And this team is able to envision, develop, and implement product improvements and make Wiz a bit better every day. And as this team, we have built and shipped V2 of Wized and all of the subsequent improvements since then. All marketing efforts as well, and the better customer support and so on. We have been talking and planning for Alex to take over since the beginning of this year already. And Alex has been a full part of the Wized team since a few weeks. In that time, he not only worked his way into understanding the Wized platform and its moving parts, but instead already started leading the creation of amazing updates that he will show himself a bit later in this call. And yeah, that's why I'm extremely excited to continue to see Wiz thriving, and especially given the success of the past products under Alex's leadership, such as the Finsweet extension and yeah, client first, and of course also attributes. And yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's bring Joe back on.
Awesome. Thank you, Jonas. That is really nice. Jonas, really can't thank him enough for building and leading Wizd. It's now a very big and important part of Finsweet. It's going to now be one of our even deeper focuses. And yeah, that's all thanks to Jonas. So thank you so much. Okay. Now, if you know Finsweet products, you know Alex Iglesias. Alex is Finsweet CTO and technical leader. If you have built with attributes, you are building with Alex's work. If you use Finsweet extension, you are extending with Alex's work. And he really is a big force inside of all things product, even Wiz. And that's been even more so the past few months. So as we know, Alex will be taking over as the entire product leader, not just working on the team, but he will be filling the role that Jonas had as the leader of the developers, marketers, education people, support of this Wiz team. So congratulations. We are really excited for that. Now, let's look at what Alex has shipped so far and the direction forward, right? He's been working on the team a little bit for past 2 months part-time while also working in other product. And now he's going to be a little bit more full-time in Wiz. But he's been getting familiar with the code base. He's been understanding some improvements that can be made, and he has made those improvements. So before we tell you about these improvements, we'll keep you waiting. We are going to first go and say hello to Alex. Alex, what's up? Welcome to the stream. How are you first?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you everyone
Great.
attending this. I'm really excited for this.
So I will now get off the stream, and Alex is going to now speak to you, the audience. And if you have any questions for him, please ask in the chat. We'll be doing a full QA between the three of us at the end. So just hold those questions or put them in the chat, and we'll get to them later. So Alex, your time. Let's go.
Great. Thank you, Joe. Okay, so I'm gonna give you some background from my side. I want you to get to know me, and also I take this chance to share my vision of what I think the future of Wist should be, because now it's up to me. Well, it's not. I'm gonna lead that vision, so I think it's great to let you know. So a little bit about me. As Joe has mentioned, I'm the CTO of Finsweet, and you might know me from other tools that I've built in the past. Joe already mentioned the common extension, Finsweet attributes, or the Finsweet cookie consent are some of the tools that are pretty used in the Webflow community. I'm personally a big fan of framework authoring and building tools, and this has been my opportunity since I joined Finsweet. I've been able to build a lot of cool stuff for the Webflow community, and also I've been involved in some of the most complex projects in Webflow development for some enterprise clients. So I kind of know the drill of both building tools for the Webflow ecosystem and also extending Webflow's capabilities when building projects for clients. So the moment that I got the offer of leading what I think is the most powerful tool in the Webflow ecosystem, it was like an immediate yes for me. I really believe that Wized, it's an amazing product that Jonas has built, and it aligns pretty much with my vision of what I really love to do, which is building tools so I can empower other people to build more powerful stuff with Webflow. So I'm really motivated for this. I think it's a great opportunity for me, and I would love to prove that to the community and also to the Wiz team and to Jonas by leading the product in, what I think it should be in the future, the best version of itself. So I think that I can share some of my visions to you, so you can align with me on what I think is going to happen in the future of Wist. First of all, obviously, nothing is changing so far. So every single thing that has been developed is going to continue being there. The team is also there. I'm happy to say that Jonas has created an amazing team that pretty much works alone. So it just needs some direction, but the team itself, it's an amazing team that works perfectly fine. But my vision for a tool like Wist, and essentially everything that it's a tool that other developers should be using, it's that I'm a big fan of keeping things simple but powerful. I believe that it's better to do less things but do it the best way possible, being the best at it, rather than trying to do a lot of stuff and just being mediocre at it. So when I joined the team, I was like, okay, we've built so far this product which lets people build applications with it. Let me just scan it from the outside to try to see what can be improved. Instead of just thinking about, okay, can we add this feature? Can we add that? Can we add this one? What can we do? What can I provide to this team to make this product even better, just as is? So Wist's main purpose is building web apps in Webflow sites. Okay, this is already a strong alternative to traditional web application development, like using frameworks like React, Vue, or Svelte. But there are still some things that I really think that can be improved, and you'll see later in this stream that we've already taken some steps towards that. But essentially, there are a few bullets that I would like to share. The first one is performance. The more users joining the platform, the more complex applications they are trying to build. So and I think I can say that nobody was expecting people to build the kind of applications that are being built nowadays. People like to build crazy stuff, and the more user base, the more users that we have, the more crazy things are getting. So one of the things that we have to ensure is that the bigger applications they are, that they stay performant, they have the best performance possible. So this is one of the visions that I have for it. Accessibility, it's also one other vision. So far with Wist, you can create applications that are usable for 95% of the people. They are amazing applications, but there's still a small percentage of people that cannot at this time use a Wist application at its full. So I think that we should embrace and welcome that missing percentage of people, making sure that all the developers can build accessible applications. Then going back to building the more and more complex applications, I think that one of the things that are really needed is providing reusability, scalability, and maintainability to the developers. Things like reusing blocks, organizing better, improve debugging, things like that. Just with the main focus of improving developer experience, I think it's going to help a lot of people build more and more things in Wist. Then some other things that we currently don't have, but I think that we could have in Wiz, it's better interactivity. How about we provide things like building micro interactions in applications so we can really improve the user experience for the people visiting the apps. And then one of the things that I'm mostly excited for is extensibility. I really believe that no code / low code products have the best potential to grow and to empower all the potential developers using that product when we embrace offering extensibility to people who wants to break barriers and try to go one step further of what the application provides. This is why I'm gonna lead the team to focus on many features related to extending the Wist application with custom code, with some public APIs, or even with custom integrations that maybe can be added to the platform. So that's really my most exciting vision for it. So just as a summary, providing better developer experience, improving what we have already so we can even make it better, extending the product and embracing people who might be skeptical about it, but the moment that we offer them the required tools to make it even more useful and better, they might be wanting to jump into it. And of course, the last thing, and I think that it's the most important one, it's I want to get to know the community. This community has been Jonas's community since the beginning. He has been working on this product for 3 years. Everyone knows Jonas. All of you know Jonas. I'm not a part of this community, but I really want to be a part of it. I really want to start knowing everyone who is building with Wist. I want to connect with you all, and I want to hear about everyone's experience with Wist. I don't think that I have, the right solution for everything or the right vision for everything, but I think that the users do have it. So my main effort also with the team is going to be connecting with the community as much as I can so I can provide the best guidance for it. And I think that's it. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Alex. That was great. Before we move on, I'd like to bring up one comment here we have from Arvind Rana. So Alex will manage Finsweet and Wiz. Work overloaded. No, not work overloaded. We do not do that. Alex is not going to be doing 2 jobs. He's going to be doing 1 job, just focusing on different parts of that job of managing Wizd. So imagine he was spending 10% of his day on Wizd. Now he may be spending 50 or 60 or 80 or 90% of his day on Wizd, and then less time on other things related to product. We have some big updates coming with attributes, and I really think that Alex will be able to step away from attributes a bit more because we're going to have other people at Finsweet working on attributes in this new system he's built, and also open source. So we're going to now rely on the community, on third-party developers to continue growing attributes. So of course, Alex will continue to work on some of the things he's done previously, like attributes, but he's just focusing more attention on Wiz. But it's not double work. It's not overwork. We're really serious about that. So I just wanted to address that comment before we move forward. Okay, next. Now, let's get back to these improvements that Alex has made. Alex talked a lot about the things that he sees in the future of Wizd, and he's already started making these updates. And these updates are going to ship with a lot of our bigger updates coming just in the next 1 or 2 weeks. The new dashboard, the new code editor, the new versioning, these will also drop with it. So first, Embed 2.0. Embed 2.0 features improvements across all aspects of the Wizd embed. This is the script that you add to your website. So you add it to the Webflow site, and then Wiz can communicate with your website. This has been completely reworked by Alex. Alex, why don't you continue here and talk about how it's redesigned? What's new about it? What's special about it?
Yeah, sure. So, well, as I mentioned, my first step joining the Wiz team was like, okay, scan what the product is like right now, and when I think that I could immediately already provide to improve it. And as I mentioned before, I've built a lot of tools, including attributes. So I'm really mindful about adding extra functionalities on top of Webflow sites and making them as performant as possible. So these updates reflect kind of that. So the first thing that you will notice with Embed 2.0 is that the new Embed, it's going to be modular, meaning that even if we keep growing and growing the application with more and more integrations, with this new modularity, only the things that are needed in everyone's website are the ones that are going to be loaded. So it doesn't matter if you're not using Firebase, if you're not using Stripe, if you're not using any kind of a new library that we need in to provide some kind of feature, because the new embed will just load on your website the single things, the minimum things that are required to provide the setup for your project. And this is going to be very powerful the more and more we scale the product. Okay, moving on. So another thing that it's new in here is that the new embed is going to be fully asynchronous, meaning that the product, the project setup will be running as soon as the page starts loading. Okay. Previously, up until now, in all the Wiz sites, it had to wait until the full page was ready before starting doing anything, before interacting with elements, before running requests, etc. With this new modularity and asynchronously, we can do some of the work, some of the heavy work beforehand, so we can improve things like, for example, running requests the earlier as possible, checking for access control, even improving the way that the elements are rendered, because some of those the previous tasks have been happening while the page was all still loading. And this is going to be also very impactful in big applications. You can move on to the next one. Thank you.
Nice. I'm excited for that embed. This is like, it's how all of the great things in Wiz get to your Webflow project. So the idea of improving that, it's a big. I see it as a core update, right? It's a really nice, powerful update here. And let's continue now to improvements in lists. So we've gotten a lot of feedback about this. How do we have lists and lists and make lists load better? So Alex, talk about the improvements here that you've made with lists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that one of the features that I felt it has more room for improvement was how Wist is rendering big chunks of data. Up until now, for people who have built applications with big sets of data, rendering lists of many elements, or even just interacting with a few of them, but those elements have a lot of interactions, performance might have been affected a little bit. And this was just because of the way that Wist it's rendering elements. I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all, but with my experience having built other tools that focus on performance, I found a few places that could be that can be improved. So with this new embed, we basically rebuild the entire reactivity model from the ground up. For people who are coding developers and are familiar with development terms, the new embed uses the same signals approach as many of the new frameworks like Solid.js or Quick.js or Preact. And this signals system allows us to add reactivity to a granular level. So every single element on the page is as performant as possible, meaning that now when you have big lists of data, whenever something is changing, only these specific elements that are being affected by that change are the ones who change. So and this really has a huge impact in performance on pages that deal with a lot of elements. And you'll see that in a video that we're going to share later, so you can check it actually as a live demonstration. I think I kind of went through it. But so
And
I think
now
that, yeah,
let's
we
share
can.
the links.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's do that. We've had some people saying, "Hey, what can I do with 1.0 versus 2.0?" We're going to continue telling you some features here, but we've actually created, or Alex created, a Webflow project that uses embed 1.0, a Webflow project that
Hmm.
uses embed 2.0, and you can see, read, and feel the differences between the two. Also, we'll
Hmm.
share a 21-minute video that you can watch after the stream that really goes in depth about these types of changes and what it means for the platform. So I will share each of these in the chat right now before we move forward.
Thank
Here
you.
we got the 1.0, 2.0, and the 21-minute video. Wonderful. So check those out, play around with them. A lot of good information there. And now let's continue with this next slide.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. Well,
Wized
now,
element visibility.
yeah, now that you've shared that, I think I'm just going to say that if you can already just open both sides, the Wist Embed 1.0, which is the current one, and the Embed 2.0, which is the features that I've been working on, and just play around with lists. Just open a list, load a list, and just filter it out, re-render that list, open the developer tools and see how both websites behave and internally when we are dealing with elements, and you will see how the granular new reactivity model really has an impact on the site. And if you just check the Loom video that Joe also shared, in that video, I go deep into this. I explain it. So you can also check that out. Okay. So, well, going back to this element visibility, also, this is kind of one of the other performance improvements that it's related to single elements and lists. And it's that now in the new embed, only the elements that are actually required are going to be present on the DOM, meaning that any element that should not be on the DOM, it's completely destroyed, exactly as the newest frameworks do, the newest JavaScript frameworks. I've been inspired a lot by this kind of work, and I know that how to make sure that reactivity and interactivity on a page stays as performant as possible. And this is also one of the implementations for that. I think that you can move on. Also, another thing that you will notice in lists related to only the elements being present when they are needed is that things like, for example, CSS selectors like NSChild, where it requires having specific amount of items on the list, are going to work fine because only the elements that are really displayed are the ones that are present on the DOM, and they are not only just set to display none, and that's it. So you're going to also see a huge benefit when styling stuff, especially inside lists. Okay,
Let's move on
great.
to using the form. This one I really like. When you presented this one, it's a really nice update. It makes a lot of sense, and it follows a lot of what we follow in attributes. With attributes, we like to use the native functionality that the browser gives us. And the browser gives us tools to use. We try to use those tools instead of creating our own tools to carry out those operations. And because of this, we use the form component a lot. The form element gives us a lot of native controls. And in attributes, that makes setups easier, it makes them more powerful, and it allows you to put less attributes all throughout the setup. So, Alex, you brought forms and the use of forms to Wiz. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. And also this aligns with one of the points that I mentioned before, and it's accessibility. We have to make sure that we're using the platform. We're implementing the websites as the browsers and the users expect. And one of the things that was missing, and I thought that was really needed in a app builder like West, was dealing with forms the expected way. So up until now, when you had a form, you had to just deal with individual inputs and then also add click events to the submit buttons, etc. But why all this overhead when we already have an element in the browser that's built in for collecting data from users, which is a form? So in that effort to improve accessibility and the way that we build applications, forms will also be included and available in the new Wized embed. With these forms, you will be able to send trigger data requests. You will be able to submit, collect data from users in an accessible way. So fully compatible with keyboard, fully compatible with all the functionalities that forms offer, etc. So a lot of things that are going to be impacted by this. And also this is in the embed 2.0 showcase, the website that Joe shared before. There is a form in there that you can check that it's not only a regular form, but it's connected to a real-time Firebase database. So anything that you add in that form, you will see how it's being updated for everyone visiting the site. You will see how that form, it's fully accessible. You can use it with the keyboard, and you will see how re-rendering the list every time that something changes in that list, because it's a to-do list, it's the most performant possible based on the previous updates that I shared about lists.
That's such a cool demo, seeing that you submit something and instantly it shows up in Firebase. That real-time adding and removing from database, it's amazing. So that's really important for some applications, having that real-time change, and this embed allows that to happen. And also, and okay, let's move forward here. Computed variables. Alex, what are computed variables?
So this was another thing that I saw that traditional JavaScript frameworks have, but was missing in Wized. Jonas was already planning to do that. I saw my opportunity to jump in and offer that. So right now, everything in Wized applications are reactive, but there's still some room for adding more capabilities in the reactivity of the apps. And computed variables, it's one of them. Computed variables are essentially variables that automatically react when one of the dependencies change. So imagine, for example, that you have a variable, and that variable, you define it as the result of the product of two other variables. Imagine that when two variables are true, then the result is going to be true. And when any of those variables is false, then the result is going to be false. Those dependents, those variables that it depends on, are going to be constantly tracked. So whenever there's any change, the whole application is going to react to it. So you will not have to be manually setting the new state. The computed variable is going to do it automatically for you. Yeah, and actually, there's some people saying that they've exceeded the quota in the demo form. I think that you guys just broke it, but I'll make sure to fix it and share a better example perhaps in another time. But you'll be able to check this also later.
Let's continue with the new Blocks API. This was a nice one. New API. We're really developer focused, right? We care about no code. Obviously, Wiz is a no code tool. It's taking out a lot of that code that needs to be written to build a web app. But that doesn't mean we run away from code. We encourage coding. So sometimes you have to write that code, and that's why we're building so many APIs to allow anything that's not covered natively inside Wiz to be accomplished. So Alex, talk about blocks, talk about this new API, and how people, what people can build with this.
Yeah. Well, so one of the core things that when rebuilding the entire reactivity model, some of the concepts of how the application works in the background have been changed. And now every single element that interacts with the app, every single element that is part of the app, it's considered a block. And that block has its own reactivity, has its own dependencies. So any time that it has to be re-rendered, it's going to be re-rendered. Anytime that has to change a class or has to change an attribute or has to do anything on that element or block, it's single and independent to it. So we keep it performant. But also, because of that, we can now implement a really granular API, JavaScript API, that will allow users, developers, to hook into everything that is going in the app. With this blocks API, you will be able to know when a list has been re-rendered, when some of the elements inside the list have been updated, when a class has been added to an element, when an element has been displayed, when an element has been hidden, when the text content of an element has changed. Anything that happens on the app, you'll be able to hook into it and write your own custom logic that is triggered after that. This happens with blocks. This happens with requests also, and it will probably happen with anything else that comes in the app in the future. And this is actually the most powerful of all the updates.
And if you don't know what that means, if you don't know how you can use that, don't worry. We're going to have a lot of education. Alex has been doing a lot of sessions every Friday. Well, every Friday doing a technical session. He's going to continue doing this. We're just going to see a lot more Wized. Maybe even it turns completely to Wized. And he'll be showing how all of these new features work, how they benefit you, what you can do with this, and of course, writing that code with the new Blocks API. So nothing to worry about. We're here to educate you and turn everybody that wants to be a technical web developer into a technical web developer. Okay, let us move forward here. Two-way binding. Wow, it's like these, I keep thinking this is the last slide of the updates, and then it just keeps coming. So, Alex, two-way binding, what is this?
Yeah. Let me just point out that I just went into Firebase and added a billing plan because I was not expecting to exceed the free plan today, and this is why the form, the to-do form, it's broken. But hopefully everyone will be able to test it before the stream ends. Okay, I'll just finish presenting this, but then I'll let you know when it's fixed. Okay, so two-way binding. Again, this is related to the new reactivated model, but essentially every single piece of state that is present in a Wized app will now be accessible by the users. This means that you will be able to update a variable and then it will automatically react to every single dependency and make the proper updates. You will also be able, for example, to update programmatically an input, the state of an input, and you will not have to worry about updating the state, emitting an input event, stuff like that. The Wized is going to do it for you. You'll also be able, for example, to add new cookies, to add new params, everything that it's managed from the state of the application will reflect when you update it programmatically. This is also present in the example that I showed, in the demo that I showed, in the Embed 2.0 link. And in there, you can just write some of the suggested lines in the console, and you will see how things are automatically updated in the application. So this is also very powerful for everyone who wants to extend Wized applications and just implement any custom functionalities.
And if you watch that video that was shared, the Loom video, it gives an example of this, a really cool example. So definitely check out that video. We'll share it again at the end of the stream. It was already shared a few spots up on the chat. Sit down and watch that video and you'll have a really good visual understanding of how all of these updates work. Okay, was this the last one? We have another one. Another one and another one and another one. Alex has just been, every few days there's like a new update. Hey, I did this, I did this, I did this. So really on a roll and just part-time at this point. So
this is still
configurator.
kind of yeah. So, and this is actually a big thing. As I mentioned, improving developer experience, it's one of the key things that we can do to embrace more people coming into the platform. So up until now, if you've used Wized in the past, whenever some thing changed in the configurator, like adding a new action, updating an action, creating a new data in or data out request, updating that request, etc., it required you reloading the canvas. So that change was reflected on the page. With the new reactivity model, another thing that I've implemented is that any change, well, not every single change, but almost any change that you are doing in the configurator, it's going to automatically reflect the page without reloading it. So for example, if you set an element's visibility, the moment that the action is saved, automatically you see that element being shown or hidden based on the state. If you set to render a list, automatically you see that list being rendered. If you set to change the source of the text content of an element, immediately you see that happening in the configurator instead of having to reload it every single time. So this is a huge time saver and a huge improvement in the developer experience, in my opinion. Actually, I'm also very excited for this one and to get feedback from the community.
Good user experience, working in Wized improvement. This is a nice one. I agree. Improvements in X-Ray. So with X-Ray, now everything is locked. As you go in X-Ray mode and you scroll down, it's locked. There's also better usability in this one in the configurator.
Yeah, so X-ray improvements, this is just tied also to some of these improvements that I did for the configurator. It's just some minor things. I actually don't think it's that big of a deal. It just takes the current X-ray functionality and improves it a little bit by making sure that it always behaves as expected with all the elements that are present on the page when you focus on them, when you unfocus them, etc. So just one also minor improvement.
And that's the end of the list. Now, we have a lot of good questions here. And really, I think this will be good when we bring Jonas on. But we have 3 questions from Mike, Jimmy, and Riley, all about backwards compatibility. Will everything be backwards compatible? Will we have to manually swap over old projects to the new embed? And when we switch to the new embed, will it break the old apps? Right? Obviously, this is a question that many people using Wiz right now want to know. So we'll use these questions as the start of our QA. We are going to bring Jonas back. We talked about all these things. These are expected within 2 weeks here. The new code editor, the add-on system, versioning control, redesign dashboard, and the embed performance. 10x, that was a placeholder by me. It's not 10x. But I just forgot to update that. But there's a big improvement to the embed, as you see. So now let's go to QA. Let's bring Jonas on board. And I really want to get to this question or these questions. Will everything be backwards compatible? When we release all of these new updates, how does it work for current users? Jonas, you want to take this one?
Sure. So you have seen this one item in the last presentation screen that has been shared regarding the version control, and that is essentially exactly the solution for this. So we added a version control to basically be able to manage different versions of the embed in one configurator, and also have the configurator itself basically being always on the right version of the embed and showing the right settings for this version of the embed. And what this means in practice for you as a Wiz developer is that, first of all, your project, when you publish it, is locked in on that version. That means that no further update that we do could ever break it. It's basically like deciding on one specific version of an integration or tool that you use, or of a framework like Vue or React. You always lock into one version, you deploy that version, and no change that the plugin or framework authors make can break your app. And that's the same kind of reliability that we want to have going forward. And that's why we are introducing this version control system. And there's a second part to it, which is the debugger. And basically, we want to give us a way to be able to freely develop Wized further. And this might include breaking changes at some point in time. Every developer knows this. At some point, some libraries introduce breaking changes. And we also have a way now to work around those and to highlight them for you in the Wized configurator. And basically give you instructions also on how to fix that breaking change and how to upgrade to that version that you might want to use because it contains maybe a special feature that you need for your application. And one bonus to that is that also going forward, this is not going to happen the next 2 weeks, but going forward, there are also plans to release alpha or beta versions as selectable versions inside of the Wized configurator. And this will also give you the possibility to subscribe to a newer version and basically get access to the newest and greatest and latest features, and not having to wait until they release officially. However, always with the caveat that those alpha or beta versions might be a little bit less stable than the official released one.
I think this type of versioning system is really unique for this no-code space, for SaaS applications. It's very rare that we use a SaaS application, specifically a no-code one, and that we're able to choose the version of that tool, of that feature, of that part of the application. And this is something I think that was lost from traditional development. This is something that we would normally see when building something with React or with Vue or with any of these other tools. This ability to say, okay, I'm going to stay at this version. I know we're stable. We don't need any of the new features. Or we need to use the new features. I'm going to switch my project. If everything breaks, I revert back. If I can do a migration, I'll do a migration. So you'll be able to make those choices within your app, within that project's configurator. And as Jonas said, really cool to release new alpha features, new beta features. So when we release something that's a little bit not fully tested yet, you can test it on a test project, not on a project that is live or an important active client project. So this versioning system, it really puts you in control of what features you bring into your app or the ability to keep it stable. So I'm really excited for that one. I think it's new and unique in the space, but something that's proven, tested, and needed in the world of web app development.
I just want to say one extra thing about this, and it's that thanks to this versioning system, we can make sure that the Wized platform, the Wized product, will never have technical depth problems. Okay, because one of the problems of big SaaS applications, the more time that it passes, the more innovations happening the development ecospace, or maybe they realize that some of the earlier designs, architectural designs, were kind of flawed, but then they have to deal with that 5-10 years later, which is kind of a pain in the ass if you want to be scaling up an application. And this versioning system that Jonas has implemented, it's a really good way of keeping the product scalable and making sure that we don't break anyone's setup, but we have it the best way, the design, we design it the best way possible. So actually, really kudos for you, Jonas, for that.
And I'll also let's move on. That's a great answer. Let's move on to Joel Whitaker. All of these new features, with all of these new features, will still require us to bind using the attribute WL or Wized. Is that changing that process of applying an attribute to an element? How does that work?
So yeah, everything is still working the same. So in reality, in the Webflow sites, nothing is going to change. The small break, the few breaking changes that you will have to deal with the moment that you swap from version 1 to version 2 are all managed inside the configurator. So no worries about that. Your current Webflow site can stay the same.
Let's bring up a question from Mike Pecha. Mike asks, Alex, do you have more examples for the extendability with custom code, which you're planning to implement? Can you give a use case, some example for Mike here?
Yeah, well, so integrating any kind of third-party library, JavaScript library on the Wiz side. So anything that requires interacting with the elements of the application, you have to be able to know exactly what's happening at all times with the application. So you know when you can instantiate something, when you need to destroy something, etc. So with this extendability, you could do stuff like creating sliders with data that you've loaded with Wiz, implementing copy paste functionalities with a copy library. I don't know, better integration with the native Finsweet attributes, or anything that involves you running custom code on a Webflow site. You'll be able to do it confidently, knowing that your app stays performant and that you have access to every single action and state of the application.
Great. We have some really good questions, so let's get through these. Joel asks, Alex, can we easily push data into the list now? Or is this one of the features coming in 2 weeks?
Maybe this is related to the to-do list that was broken in the showcase, but you can already push data into lists. So with Firebase and Supabase real time, you're sending the data already to the database, and it reflects automatically on the current website. But then also anything related to sending data out and re-rendering the list, that can also happen already. But maybe Joel, he's asking about something different. I'm not sure.
Okay. Joel, you can follow up to that if you'd like. Let's move to Mark. Mark, will computed variables allow us to trigger requests or actions when a variable changes?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's right.
exactly.
Yep.
Let's bring up next from Joseph Bates. Do you think it's possible to someday integrate an AI assistant into Wized? If so, how far off would you guesstimate for that upgrade? I'll take this one. Yes, absolutely, we can work AI into Wized. We've talked about it a lot. We've conceptualized where and how we would integrate AI. And we do have a developer right now working in this, exploring it, seeing how it can fit into the interface. So yes, Joseph, we are going to get into AI. Absolutely. I think there's a big opportunity for helping you how to code, as well as helping you set up your project. I think these two things, the coding aspect and setting up your project, are two really big opportunities for us. As far as a time estimate, I would say late this year. That's how I would estimate that. But we're working on it. Okay. Anything to add to that from either of you before we move on? We're just going to take a couple more questions. So please ask if you have questions. We won't get to all of them, but we will pick a few more.
Related to AI, I think that Jonas is the one who's been more in depth into that. But as you mentioned, we already have a developer in the team working on that, because it's really it's something that we can offer, and it's going to help a lot of people. Going back to developer experience, this is one of the things that can improve somebody's developer experience. So definitely a lot of efforts going there.
Okay. Let's bring up this question from Joel. Joel coming with the great questions. So computed properties, will they be configured just like actions and requests? Or how would one set up this computed property?
the same way as you create variables nowadays, right, Jonas?
Great.
So essentially, when you create a variable, now you will have a new chat box that defines if you want the initial value of the variable just be computed once, or if you want the variable to be computed, meaning that if the expression that defines the variable value should be tracked. So anytime that some of the dependencies change, the variable is recomputed. I don't know if I'm getting too technical there, but essentially it's just a new chat box inside the existing UI. Very simple.
Nice. Okay, so we are at the top of the hour. I'm going to share a Wized invite code. This is a code that will work as many times as you want it to. So we are starting to let the doors open. We're letting as many people that want to join Wiz as possible. So go and use that code WI-EA-18. You can get access. Share it with a friend. Doesn't matter, because as all of these new updates go and release in the next 1 to 2 weeks, we will be officially taking down the invite system. We will be putting a login and sign up button on the marketing page, and yeah, we're officially going to be public. It kind of feels like we're public already, but now it's public that anybody can go and sign up for this. So, Jonas, Alex, let's say our final words, our final goodbyes and thank yous, and we will sign off after that.
Okay, I'll start.
Yeah, thank you very.
Do you want to start?
Go ahead, Alex.
No, actually, I just wanted to thank everyone for the opportunity, and this is actually thanks to, because it's very sad to see you leave, Jonas, but you've built an amazing product, and it's kind of like I feel that I've been blessed to be part of it, because so far it's something amazing, and I'm trying to come up with the word, but I really feel honored being part of that. So this is really my words to you, Jonas. Although you're not immediately leaving, but that's what I really think. And thank you for everyone in the community for being welcoming to me, and because I'm really looking forward to connect more with you all.
Yeah, thanks for the stream. I think it was great. Also seeing all the updates that you have already developed, Alex. It's just great to see how fast you got up to speed, and how well and how nice the updates are in terms of stability, and especially also I saw a comment regarding enterprise support that this is basically all it needs, and that is true in my opinion. So I think Wiz will get a huge push in that direction in terms of stability, in terms of reliability. I couldn't be more excited about the future of this product. And just great stream. And let's continue with the transition.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you like this stream, give it a thumbs up. Give it a share, please. It tells YouTube that you enjoy it, and it will show it to more people. It will grow the Wiz community, which makes your job as a Wiz developer more valuable. So give us a like, give us a thanks, give us a share. Reach out to these people on Twitter, say thanks, whatever you want to do. But thank you for joining us. We had a great stream, and have a great rest of the day.